Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Una welcome. Today, na number 25 day for this month of January 2023. My name na Capo Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonian Defense Forces and the Anti-Kidnapping Czar of the ADF and the spokesperson of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King, una own countryman, Ambazonian FBI. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program where we bring una the truth, we bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we waka for this journey to our freedom, the independence of Ambazonia. Fellow good citizens of Ambazonia, the title for this episode na Chris Ano begs to join the Canadians Ambazonian Cameroon negotiation process, where the pre-talks it be announced, the commitment on both sides it be announced for the general public and to the international community to an unprecedented welcoming message across the globe, and a rebuttal from La République du Cameroon on media space by René Sadi. René Sadi, in case you do not know who he is, he's a spokesperson of the Cameroon government. When the Cameroon government warmonger faction led by Ferdinand Gongo, Atanganji Paul, and the rest were going after those who campaigned for justice and a negotiated settlement for the Ambazonian war. One Cameroon journalist, Martinez Zogo, a strong critic of the war policy of Mr. Paul Biya, was gunned down and killed by the same people that are opposing the negotiation as a means to resolving the conflict between Ambazonia and Cameroon. In case you do not know Ferdinand Gongo, he is the one who have come against the French Cameroon, as we know, Cameroon is Cameroon, Ambazonia is Ambazonia. Cameroon journalists recently have come up to protest against the assassination of their own journalists, and the person who have opposed them is René Sadi, saying that the protest for assassinated journalists calling for investigation will be manipulated. That is just to give you the background of the bloodthirsty vampires who are in La République du Cameroon, who have been making millions from contracts for procurement on behalf of La République du Cameroon and want to see this war continue. These are also the Bulu Beti clique that Paul Biya have used to install himself as a dictator over all other tribes in Cameroon. Just like the Hutus who were behind the genocide in Rwanda, the Bulu Beti clique that is being led by Ferdinand Gongo have also developed long nose and think that because they have sway over the sovereignty of La République du Cameroon, they can carry out genocide and mass atrocity with impunity. These are the vampires of Africa and La République du Cameroon. Ultimately, Paul Biya himself is the one who have raised this snake, and he himself is the head of that snake. Make no mistake. But the subject of today's podcast is the plea by Chris Ano that he wants to join the Canadian movement, while on social media he is trying to represent himself as a leader who is going to come in and fix the Ambazonian negotiation with La République du Cameroon, and had this to say.
The rest of Ambazonia was in complete darkness regarding those who had been selected or those who had gone there and what they were talking about in Canada, what was happening, and why many questions still remain unanswered. We here at the interim government of Ambazonia are comfortable enough at this moment to inject our presence into the process, albeit very cautiously. We have done so, considering that it is only right now that the real formal talks are to begin. We are willing, with caution, to ignore the initial shortcomings that characterize the beginning of the pre-talks. We have learned that both sides agreed to set up technical committees to lay out the modalities and clarify technical matters about the implementation and monitoring of confidence-building measures. This is the problem that we see in this. Forming technical committees before the beginning of the formal negotiations, when the Ambazonian side is not yet completely constituted, sends bad signals to what lies ahead. The firm commitments from the comrades who were there give us hope that there would be no friction between those who work out the agreement for a formal process and those.
So before our base get into anger that I am still calling the name of Chris Anu, it is because he is the most important spoiler that we have. He is a single person responsible for all the chaos that we have had. The person who declared a civil war in Ambazonia and asked for soldiers to be killed, banning groups here and there, and have been behind the highest noise on social media. So it's very important that we take what he says, even though it is a distraction, as very important, because it takes very little effort to destroy, and to build takes a lot of effort and commitment. So those who build must also be aware about those who destroy, because it takes very little for them. They don't have anything to lose anyway. So those of us who have been building, the AGOVC, the IG, the consortium, the APLM, and all the bloc that have come together and the ACT to build for our country, for the aspiration, must take spoilers very important. So I will say what Chris Anu have said. He said that Ambazonia were in the dark, and he also said that he has injected himself. The IG want to inject themselves, and he said a lot of things, and that the real talks will begin now. On the positive side, he said that those who were sent there, the delegates there, have their commitment, give hope to Ambazonia, which should be applauded. But this is what we must know: we do not ignore what people say on social media, and whatever you say on social media have consequences. If Chris Anu wants to join the block of Ambazonian leaderships who are there in Canada, he must stop sabotaging and calling them they are working for La Republique. As he has said previously, you cannot come and join people who you say are working for La Republique unless you believe that they are not working for La Republique. If you say that those of us who were there have given hope to Ambazonia, you cannot come out to be telling lies to people that we are working for La Republique. It must end. But I will address the context of what he has also criticized, because criticism is very important. Ambazonia have to know. Within the past 5 years, the Ambazonians who have been very progressive and constructive in diplomacy as well as in Ground Zero have formed a good network that has helped to form the coalition and the bloc who are now currently leading Ambazonia. All the groups that have been there have been over the years consulting with each other and informing each other about their engagement internationally and their policy on Ground Zero, despite the differences that the groups have. The groups that have been assembled in Canada, of course, we know that the process started in the United Nations General Assembly with the Guterres meeting in Belambela, but obviously the state parties have to send out invitation, and the Canadian invitation that came in also had consultation with the leaders that have formed this bloc. There are other leaders who came in and were removed from the bloc and still remain engaged with the leadership that are in the bloc. The leadership that are in the bloc are providing leadership for Ambazonia, and they have benefited from reports that have been made internationally by the World Bank report and many other reports, especially the Canadian government. We know that the main agency that have worked with the Canadian government, the intelligence services, is the same that had worked when the Swiss process was going in and had worked closely with Chris Anu and with Samuel Ikomesako. And the only reason they were not included in the bloc of the Ambazonian leadership in Canada is because they were considered as spoilers and people who do not have command and control of forces on the ground or have a strong progressive and constructive diplomatic engagement. Their diplomatic engagement have revealed that they were spoilers and not people who were progressively contributing towards the struggle. So they should know their place and know that every Ambazonian have a place, including them. But that place must be that of one who is progressive. And until somebody have demonstrated that he will be a positive input in the structure going forth, they will not have a place in leadership going henceforth. That's just a natural thing to protect the integrity of Ambazonia. So Chris Anu and Sako have to stop their lie telling and be progressive in the Ambazonian struggle. The whole idea of a government, we know that it is not, they are not a government. The international community know. In Cambodia, Chris Anu swear that he was not presenting himself as a government, and Ambazonian people have to know that. And that apology have to be made in their communication. Even if they don't apologize, their public posture must change. Those who are in leadership were not looking for leadership because they want to be at the negotiation table. They led simply because they were leading. Chris Anu also said that the real talks are now to begin. He has to know that the real talks have already begun. Pre-talks are an integral part of negotiation. Pre-talks means it is where the negotiation framework itself is being formed. There will be nothing that will be discussed in the negotiation that have not yet been designated as such in pre-talks and in the commitment. The commitment forms the basis for which negotiation takes place, and the pre-talks set up the real negotiation and guides how negotiation will be done. Ambazonian people should know that it is not experts who negotiate on behalf of a country, but the leadership that have fought for that country that negotiate and uses experts to advise them on how negotiation will be going forward and be involved in the technical matters. Chris Anu have also talked about the technical committee, that it is a problem that technical committees have already been set up when Ambazonian team have not been constituted as a whole. He is wrong. Technical committee have already been set up by the commitment itself comes with committee that have already been set up that involve Ambazonians and Cameroon officials to rule out those confident measures as it has already been announced publicly. Technical committees are usually for specific tasks, and Chris Anu needs to involve more in capacity building to learn what negotiation is all about. Apart from Chris Anu, you also have other people who have also spoken broadly about the competency of Ambazonia. And this is what our people have to know. And we have the town hall on SCBC that usually comes and tell our people that there are people who are school dropouts who are leading negotiation on behalf of Ambazonia, people who are not qualified. And that can be a true concern if somebody is not qualified or do not have a capacity and is sitting down to negotiate on behalf of a country. We should really be worried. But the person who have championed this cause about this competency have been Mutua, one Mutua in a town hall. They call the program town hall. This program is made up of 14 people that rotates themselves, and they don't represent a vast majority of our people. And the Mutua himself is somebody who have documents out there of a bankruptcy case in America. He's a bankrupt person. If you are not able to be responsible with your personal life, how can you be even in a position to talk about capacity or competency of people with integrity? On this slide, I'm going to talk to Ambazonian people about what competency to lead a nation is all about. Many of those who have dropped out in school, including Ebenezer Akwanga and Ayabacho Lucas, did so because they ran away from problems on behalf of our country. And just because you drop out in one school did not mean that you did not continue in another. Today, Dr. Cho Ayaba, who was a school dropout, is a professor and a doctorate with a PhD degree. And Dr. Ebenezer Akwanga are also the same. All of them are teachers who have taught in universities and are proud people with theses that are in the public. You can all research that for yourself. You cannot say that same to Sako, who carries a name of a doctor and a PhD that do not exist. No research have found out that Sako actually went to that school, which he called himself. Ambazonians should understand what leadership is. Leadership and competency to lead a nation and a people do not lie on formal education. Our people have to be very clear about it. The first president of America was George Washington. He only went to a school in a church. He did not even go to primary school. He went to Sunday school. And he was so brilliant and fought for the American freedom and became the first president of America. The reason why he could lead America to freedom, the reason was because he did not go to school. Most of those who went to school were brainwashed to follow the Queen and the monarch in England so much that they could not betray their patriotism and their psychology, as was the case of George Washington. And it is true to many of those who have given freedom to their people. You even have a lot of American presidents. I think about 7 of them did not go to secondary school. You have Andrew Jackson and many of them. Anyway, even back in Africa, one of the greatest African presidents who have stood for nationalism was somebody who did not have formal education. And that is the present president of South Sudan. Salva Kiir only went to primary school. And there are even claims that he did not actually went to primary school. He just said that he went to primary school, but there is no record that he went to school. And you have people like the president, even the current president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, did not go to school. And he is the president of Congo today. You have people, one of the most admired presidents in Africa, Paul Kagame, also only went to primary school. He just finished primary school. He did not went to secondary school, and he joined the army. He did not. He's a primary school leaver, and even the president of Djibouti, Ismail Omar, he only went to Islamic school, Mantarankang, what we call in Ambazonia Mantarankang, and then he went to the military. That is how they became president. In liberation movement, leaders are not as a result of qualification or institutions because they vote you in a committee. Leaders are those who took upon the responsibility. It takes 3 qualities to be a leader: courage, integrity, and patriotism. First, with courage. Amongst all the children of Ambazonia, the 8 millions of them, how many of them were courageous to stand up and speak for the people when it matters? Very few activists stood up, very few leadership. It does not mean that there were not people who have ideas to speak, but those who had the ideas and who stood up are the ones who are courageous to lead their people. If you are very beautiful, if you are a very beautiful girl, and you stay in the village and you don't take part in pageant, and when they choose a girl as Miss World, you cannot complain that you are more beautiful than the ones who is the Miss War or the Miss Ambazonia. The person who is a Miss Ambazonia is the only one who presented themselves to be chosen. If you are beautiful and you don't take part in competition, you cannot say that you are better than those who are there. For you to become a leader, you must stand in front. You must have the courage, no matter your quality. If you think that you overknow, but you were not courageous enough to stand up and speak for Ambazonia when the struggle start, then please, my brother, you have failed the test of courage. You also have integrity. Integrity is how you carry yourself. If you are able to speak the truth, if you are able to be honest with the population and to show respect to them, somebody that lies to our people blatantly, somebody that pays no regards to our people's interests. You have people like Tapang Ivor who came out to say that Ambazonia will never be independent. Or when he was speaking for federation, he completely dismissed our people's idea of being independent and say we must be federation, we can never win. He did not even believe in Ambazonia. Those who do not even believe in Ambazonians' worth cannot lead us. That's why I believe that Ayabacho and Ebenezer Kwanga, who believe that our people could win La Republic from the beginning, when nobody could believe in our ability, are the best people to lead us because they could see something that others could not see. That is wisdom and integrity. Is so also you have somebody like Boheb, who is a very intelligent person, and he came out to say that if Ambazonians do not choose to vote, he is going to do it by himself. Anybody who can dismiss the will of the Ambazonian people that they don't matter does not deserve or will not be a good leader for Ambazonia. It's not only Tapang Ivor have come around and many other people, but when you show that character in you, that you are able to dismiss the capacity of our people, be able to dismiss their opinion or what they stand for because of what you believe. People like Monzo, who say that they want to force federalism upon us. People like Kadina Tumi, when they know that our people want independence but are willing to dismiss them, are not fit for service. The second quality is patriotism. You must be able to love and put the country first above yourself. We have seen Ayabacho and Akwanga sacrificing themselves, even Seseko and many other people. But we have also seen leaders who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the country, but are always willing to put their ego above their patriotism. If it comes for you to be a leader, those who say that if Ambazonia will have independence under somebody else, it's better everything spoil, have failed the test to become qualified, competent people to lead our country. Many of them, it does not mean that they are all bad. No, they are all good, but we can only have one leader. That leader must be somebody who is courageous, who have integrity and patriotism to be able to lead us in a way that will win. In our case in particular, because it is a collective struggle, we do not have the Kabilas who come with all the weapons, or some warlords who have backings of some who have made some deal. Thank God for that anyway. So we must have a leader who is effective, who is efficient, and who respect the people of Ambazonia, their will and their capacity. Who is a leader? A leader is not just somebody who have this quality. A leader is somebody who is leading actions. We have two phases of actions, those on the war front and those on the diplomatic front. If you are leading actions to fight against Cameroon on the ground, then you are a leader. Some lead by foot action, some lead by supplying weapons and providing inspiration and sustaining the campaign that keeps our fighting against Cameroon possible and sustainable. If you are a leader in terms of leading the diplomatic posture of Ambazonia, that means you are leading effort to convince other countries in order for them to recognize us and take upon our plight. We have seen that even in this negotiation, you have the two main countries, Ireland and Norway, that support us, are all countries that the Ambazonian Governing Council leadership are based there. That is testimony of their leadership in diplomacy for Ambazonia. This is not to discard the other leaders who have also contributed much, but our people have to know General Mba Ivor did not need to go to school to become a general, and the leader of Ambazonia do not need a PhD to become a leader. He needs courage, he needs integrity, he needs patriotism. So the next time people come to you and ask you, those who are leading us in negotiation, are they competent? Are they educated? Are they qualified? What you should tell them is that if they were qualified to lead Ambazonia into war, to sustain the military campaign, provide weapons, provide command and control, give an army to our nation, give ideology and upheld the nationalistic spirit of Ambazonia, then they have laid the foundation to earn our trust that they will work with integrity and protect the integrity of the process. Negotiation is not a platform for political campaign or to use to blackmail and gain sympathy and legitimize oneself as a leader. It is also only a channel to conclude what we have been doing. You do not come to negotiation as an expert negotiation or a qualified person who can negotiate. You negotiate because you are leading the movement. You negotiate because you are inspiring the movement. You negotiate because you are consequential. And they shall be ranking of Ambazonian leadership according to their consequentiality. We have seen a clear picture of who is who in ground zero. The Ambazonian Defense Forces, if you look at their platform, in the past 3 years, you can define clearly that it is the only movement with multiple state presence under one command and control. It is the only structure that have solid command and control. And in terms of nationalist agenda or the nationalist projection, you have SOCADEF, and APLM will also have a nationalist projection. And of course, the other group have their own positive part. It does not mean that if I don't name it, it means I don't recognize them. But we must respect and appreciate the leadership that have led us into this historic progress, and we know that they have opened up the door for an inclusiveness of all Ambazonian voices to have their place. Everybody, as they have said, will have their place, but this will not be in chaos. This will not be out of blackmail. Nobody will hold them hostage. They have sent delegates there on a mandate. They have conducted themselves very properly, and the result can speak for themselves. The leadership that have guided us will continue to lead us through. And everybody is called upon to be constructive, progressive. We were not working for ourselves. We were working so that more people can be courageous to speak. We encourage more people to come out. We encourage Ambazonians who were lacking behind to be inspired. And above all, we have known that the secret of our winning, the secret of our respect and recognition comes from buying gun. So we call on everybody who have never bought guns to buy guns now. We call on everybody who have not yet joined the Ambazonian mission across the globe should join now. Get yourself associated, registered, and participate to actively liberate our homeland. Now is the time. The foundation have been led, but the foundation stone will remain. And may God help us that those who lead us today are democratic enough to come back and respect us. Because if you look at other African countries, for example, in Uganda, the leader who liberated Uganda, Museveni, have become a dinosaur who is eating all the grass and want to stay there forever. President Mugabe of Zimbabwe, who led his country to victory, was one of the best people who advocated for democracy, but became a tyrant. We hope that we can also have leadership that we can hold and look at their track record and demand for them today the type of Ambazonia we would want to expect from them tomorrow. Capo Daniel, signing off.